Hello everyone, this is Cecilia, teacher Cecilia's channel, and welcome once again. Well, I've been thinking for, I don't know, for several months, that I might would do, from time to time, I might do some things differently than just focusing on books, okay? My channel, I've had it now, I've been putting videos on it fairly regularly now for, close to 3 years now. I used to, and I had more of in the past, my channel was much more of a mix of things than it is now. And I decided to make it booktube, but I'm going to keep it booktube, but I may, starting with this video, go back to, maybe doing every once in a while, talk about some things that are going on in the world, going on in society. And I wish I had more time to make more of the little, what I used to call my little mini documentaries. Those were fun making, but they took a lot of work, writing the script, all that, gathering the right pictures, everything. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to go back to that. I don't know, because I have other things that I'm doing. But probably some of you may be wondering, what is my opinion of what's going on now, okay, in the world, okay, with all these wars and things. I haven't talked much about, it's sort of strange. Uh, in the past with my students, some of my students would ask me things and about what's going on and different things that are happening in the society. There's been like storms, and students wonder, was I okay? Was I in the location of certain storms? All of that. And but people have been really silent lately. It's like everybody's sort of holding their breath. Okay, they're holding their breath, and I haven't brought it up either. I've been through a lot of stress. I stay under stress, okay? I have good stress and I have bad stress, okay? But I try to have the good stress, okay? If I have stress, if I got to deal with stress, I prefer to deal with good stress. So, I had eye surgery a week and a day ago and all of that. So, but yeah, so much is going on, and I live in the United States, and my country, or the country I live in, probably has seen less than 15 years of peace. Okay. Next year, I think, will be 250 years of the United States. So I think they're counting it now. I don't know how they're doing it, but it was founded 1776, but it's just, I don't have a lot of words, and I feel like I'm just going to end up and ramble, and maybe I shouldn't even make this video. I don't know, but some people may be wondering what I feel about what's going on. Well, myself, I'm anti-war, number one, and I haven't voted since the first time Obama ran, and I voted for him then. I used to be a Democrat, but I was an uninformed Democrat. I just basically did what the average person does, just, sort of, here in the United States, sort of vote for, who sounds good and who I like, and so I just sort of at that time sort of identified with the Democrats, and as a lot of black people in the United States did, and I voted Democrat, and I started voting when I was 18 years old, and I was so excited at the time. I had just started university, and the first time I ever voted, I was staying in another city, going to a university. I was staying in Atlanta, and I actually voted in Atlanta. I was so excited voting. I felt like it made me feel like, oh, hey, now I finally reached adulthood. But after Obama, and a lot of black people here, they idolize him because, the first, quote, black president. There was a lot of war. There was like 7 wars going under Obama, and with everything that went on with him, I was really disillusioned, and I said, hey, I'm not voting anymore. So I haven't voted anymore, and I don't consider myself liberal or conservative. I might have some things that I sort of believe in that has some aspects of both, but I'm very different from liberal people or conservative. I would say I'm a socially conservative person, but I'm not like a Christian Zionist or some white supremacist or anything like that. So how I basically think for myself, which is something that I don't think a lot of Americans and maybe a lot of average people can't do. They tend to copy what other people are doing, but I prefer thinking for myself. So because I think for myself, I see things very, very differently than probably the average person. I always have. I've never felt like I really fit into American society. And I mean, being an educated black woman here in the South and everything, you don't have too many people you have in common, anything in common with. I don't. But yeah, what is going on, it's not surprising to me. I'm not shocked. In fact, I just rather kind of expected it. As far as with talking about the war in Iran, a war with Iran and Israel, I figured that Iran was not going to be an easy country to tackle. I am against war. I support the Palestinians. I give them moral support. I've done, donations and everything throughout this genocide, but for me, it's not shocking what's coming. Okay. And I think the future looks really grim in the short term, but particularly if you're a Christian person, if you're a religious person, I can't speak for Jewish people. I know more about Islam and I know more about Christianity. I know about Christianity because I'm a Christian. What's coming is very grim, but like I said, in the short term, it's not surprising. Every year I notice people say, "Oh, I hope this year is going to be better," and then it's been progressively worse. I would say, particularly in the last decade. I'm upset with my country because, even when I was a little child during the Vietnam War, I was a child during the Vietnam War, and I couldn't understand back then, why would this country be fighting far away in another country? It just didn't make sense to me, and I was a young child, okay? But it makes a lot of sense for a lot of American people. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm thinking now it's maybe with more Americans, there's more war fatigue, because we've been in nonstop war for 25 years. It's been nonstop, and but I just think it doesn't look good, and it's been very stressful with, we have high prices here in the United States. Everything went up. It's not just the United States. I talk to other students. I talk to my students, and they talk about how the prices have gone up where they are. But a lot of things that are happening now, like I said, I'm not shocked. And I say it's going to be a rocky road. And I think this time, this war that seems to be coming, because these wars were planned, okay? All these wars, you can go on YouTube and look up General Wesley Clark, 7 countries in 5 years. You can go, all these wars were planned. These were not accidents, okay? And also, the situation with Gaza. There were warnings from certain people about what was going to happen to Gaza like 10 years ago. You can look up, you can go to Internet Archive and look up Daryl Bradford Smith. Daryl Bradford Smith. It's I think he spelled his name DARYL or something like that. I forgot. I have to look at. Sometimes I'm not good at. I'm not good at spelling. I have to sort of write it out and stuff. But Daryl, he was like a early podcaster on the internet years ago. He stopped doing podcasts because he was American. He lived in France, and then France came out with these different hate laws and stuff, and he got scared and stopped doing what he was doing because he said he was an older person with poor health, and he didn't want to end up in prison. But if you look him up on YouTube, and I will, what I'll do is put a link to his one of his podcasts on Internet Archive, and then you can look through. But they gave warnings about what was happening, what was going to happen with people in Gaza and stuff like years ago. Okay. So, but I feel like, even if there's not like a world war, the United States is not in a good shape societal wise. We have so many issues here at home. And some of the people in government that are neocons and stuff, they feel like they should rule the world. And I saw a clip from a video of General Flynn that was one of the generals back. I don't think he's a general now, but he was back the first time when Trump was president. He was saying that they want to dominate the world and, they want to fight China and all this stuff. Russia too. They already have Russia. That's a proxy war that's going on between Russia and Ukraine. But it's, a lot of the stuff is inevitable. And of course, if you believe in, end time prophecy and eschatology and things like that, everything is lining up, okay? And you don't have to be I'm not a Christian Zionist by any means. But if you even listen to, I don't know much from the Catholic aspect, but I know a lot from, a good bit from Orthodoxy, because I'm interested in the Orthodox Church. They have prophecies about a lot of stuff, and end time prophecies, and of course the Muslims do too, and a lot of it, some of it lines up together and other diverges. So, but a lot of things I've expected it for a long time, and I did not expect for things to get better. Okay. I don't consider, I'm not an optimist. I'm not a complete pessimist, maybe semi-pessimist, but I see myself as a realist. So, and I always feel that it's important that people do not let themselves get caught off guard, to be very aware of what's happening in their environment, in the world, all of that. So a lot of what's going on now is not a surprise to me. I think the moral, when you look at what has happened to Gaza and everything, it's like it just sort of exemplifies the moral decay that we've got in the world, and particularly in the Western world. Like I said, the United States has so many issues: race issues, broken families, illegitimacy, drug addiction, just general godlessness, and stuff. And we just have so many issues piled on, and bad government, education we have now, where they're saying that 40% of the graduates that are graduating from high school now can't read. And I might do a video talking about all that, about how I saw how that happened in real time in the schools here. So things are not good. And in the short term, I think it's going to be very, very, very bad. Very bad. And I can't go and, sugarcoat things. I'm not a person that sugarcoats things. I just can't. And I think that this will probably be the second time that the United States, the actual United States, will experience war. We've only had, like from invasion. We've never had invasion here, in not mainland, but we had the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor back in World War II. So I think, this time we may actually be affected by these wars directly. Okay. And you just don't know. I think if, we Christians believe that Jesus will come back. The Muslims do too. The Jews have their own Messiah, but I feel that 5 or 10 years from now, it'll be a different place, very different place. And it's just not looking good. So myself, am I afraid? Not really, because it's like, I feel a sense of anger and sadness maybe, but I'm not afraid really so much. I feel sort of a sense of stoicism, I just have to accept it, you just, I don't have a military. I don't have, who am I? So I just, I'm trying to look at the time, but I just thought I would just do a video talking about this a little bit, because it's just so much, and I'm sure there are some people that are wondering what I feel about this. I haven't mentioned in a while my friend Walla that was from Gaza, that is from Gaza, and now lives in Lebanon. She's been living in Lebanon now since last year. It'll soon be a year. And I'm still in contact with her. I talked to her right before my surgery, and we had planned to do some things, doing like a language exchange with each other. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I will be able to, hopefully be able to help her with English. I told her about Duolingo, and she loves it. She absolutely loves Duolingo. And she still has family back in Gaza, and she's lost family in Gaza. And I'm sure plenty of friends. But it's a sad time, guys. It just I think if humanity had been more smart, more godly, the godlessness is a lot of reason why this stuff is happening. A lot of it. Okay. I was thinking about this the other day. I think about it often, and then I was looking at a podcast on YouTube by some Orthodox Christian guys, and they were talking about, with all the sexual immorality and stuff that goes on, in certain, in the West and certain cultures, it goes on that, and a lot of other stuff. It's not, it's just, everything is just like created a stew of where you just have this whole maelstrom of just satanic, evil destruction. And like humanity is just self-destructing. Even everything is out of balance. Okay. Even the weather, where I live, the weather this spring, we have gotten so much rain, and we just have these thunderstorms, and the weather is very unstable. My mom and I have been waiting for the weather to get more stable, and it was unstable during the spring. And I just don't know. We have these thunderstorms, like almost every day. And it's just, huge downpours at times. It's just like everything is out of balance. Humanity's out of balance and lost so many, and we have just only a small remnant of people that understand and keeping it together. So many people, they mixed all these weird ideologies together that don't make any sense together. People are just lost, and you have people just listening to other people that are lost, and blind leading the blind, and everything. And where I live in the United States, we have a very anti-intellectual spirit, and also very rebellious spirit. So if you come and you try to tell people stuff that they don't want to hear, you might have a battle on your hands. So it's I just want to bring it up, at least so that, if anybody was wondering, and to put my 2 cents in. I'm not the greatest speaker in the world, but I just thought that I would, this Thursday night on, what's the date? I never keep up with the date. It's June 19th. I'm thinking it's Friday. Tomorrow's Friday. When you get this, it may be next week. Okay, it may be next week. Because my last video I put up, I had it recorded a week. It's been around like a week, and then I just uploaded it today. Okay, between students. So, but I think this is a time where people need to get right with God, get serious. This is a time, if you're not right with God, if you're living the wrong way, if you believe in God, if you believe that, God is the controller of history and all this stuff, and, he allows things to happen. He allows evil people to come in and punish people. And just because, you can be good in this life, you can be a decent person, and you still suffer. When I was a younger person, I used to think, if I'm nice enough, if I'm this, that, and other, if I'm smart enough, people are going to like me. And no, it doesn't work like that. Okay. It's not like that. Now, at my age, I don't care one way or the other. I'm not out to look for friends and acceptance. I don't need the validation of any human being. Okay. My validation comes from God, not from human beings. So, But I hope that I hope particularly that more people will wake up. Okay. And I hope that they will have the courage to make it through, or it's whatever, whatever they have to face. And that includes myself, to whatever I have to face, that God will give me the strength to face it. Okay. Because like I said, what is happening now is not a surprise. And, and so I just, wanted to put this in and say this, just as a final thing. Okay. So stay strong. If you read, keep reading. I'll still be around making videos, hopefully, God willing. I will. And, right now I'm working on Asia Dijabar's Children of the New World. There's so much I want to read, but not enough time and energy. Not enough time and energy. I wish somebody would pay me to read. So anyway, but I'm going to end here. So I just be aware and be prepared. That's all I have to say. And my mother always says, watch as well as pray. And be watchful. Be on, you need to know what you're looking at now. You need to know what you're looking at, what you're listening to, all that and stuff. And so thanks for watching, and stay strong.